Good morning, adventurers. My name is Ben, and welcome to a morning show where I sit around, drink some tea, and talk about D&D. I let it sit a little bit this time, so it's not quite as hot, so I didn't scald myself because I'm not that dumb all the time. Anyway, diving straight into it, first up we have news for today. There's not a whole lot of news for today, other than the Sage Advice returned to the D&D design blog today with Jeremy Crawford to talk a little bit about creature evolutions, refinements to stat blocks, and character races, as well as some Harrington clarifications that they are doing because obviously they just introduced the race, so they are getting into a little bit more of the nitty gritty of the whole thing. So if that is of interest to you, go check that out. The only other piece of news really is that on Friday at New York City Comic Con, there's the Critical Role panel that is the teaser for Vox Machina, or Legend of Vox Machina, and presumably there's going to be some other D&D stuff going on at NYCC. So I don't really know what they've got planned, but maybe they're going to broadcast some of that and everything like that. So check it out, I guess. Moving on from news, we go into streams. I don't have any written down. I don't really know of any streams that are happening on Tuesday. The twitch.tv/DND is offline on Tuesdays, but as I've said several times over, you can always just search D&D on Twitch or whatever streaming platform you want, and you will be able to find stuff. People are streaming games literally all the time, and by literally all the time, I mean I wake up and I go on there and I see like 10 different games being streamed. I go to lunch, I look on there, they're like 15 different games. There's literally always a game being streamed if you want to watch a game of some kind. And if you're not looking at one of the major streams, it's a good way to find a smaller stream that you might really fall in love with and really, really enjoy. So I definitely recommend going and checking that out. But that's all I've got for streams because there aren't any major ones that I know of. But if you know of any, please let me know. You can put it in the comments. You can put it somewhere that I will see it, and I will make sure that I work it into my rotation. Like I said before, I am trying to build a running like master schedule so that I can just sort of like word vomit it all at you guys so that you have an idea of what there is to watch on any given day. So yeah, let me know about any streams you know of that are happening. Today for T&D, I am having a chamomile spearmint kind of tea. It's really, really good. I like it a lot. Even though it's spearmint, it's still pretty subdued mint, so it's really good. On the mug itself is a picture of my dog when he was a puppy. My brother got this for me for Christmas. Next to it is a verse from the Torah, as you can see right there, if this would focus. A verse from the Torah, because my brother lived with me for 3 months one summer, and he decided, it was the summer after I got this dog, he decided that my dog was Jewish for some reason or another, and so he got me this as a present. I don't know, I think it's a funny mug. It's a really cute picture of my dog, if nothing else, so I like using it, even though oftentimes I'm looking at my dog while I'm drinking tea out of it. So it sort of defeats the purpose. But whenever he has to go away for whatever reason, it's a nice little reminder that he's around. But anyway, getting into it, because we've got a thing that I am actually very excited to talk about today, because it is something that I feel very strongly about. Today we are talking about what you can do with your downtime in game, because I don't think enough games put downtime in games. And they don't, if they do, they don't put enough focus on it. Like, downtime is as much a part of the game as anything else that is happening in the game. But a lot of times people skip straight over it because they are there to play the game where they fight the dragons and stuff like that. Or they gloss over it because it's like, yeah, I do this, this, and this, and we move on. Downtime is a really, really good opportunity for some like key roleplay moments outside of the pressure of being in an active adventure all the time. I don't think I really realized how beneficial downtime was until I saw the big time gap that they have in Campaign 1 of Critical Role. And since then, I have tried to work downtime to some degree in with relative regularity in my games. If you don't have downtime built into your games, you can actually run your players down pretty readily, because so much of adventuring is like doom and gloom, doom and gloom, doom and gloom over and over again, and eventually it just sort of burns them out. And a good way to avoid that burnout is to have, you know, a carnival come to town or something like that. So definitely think about working downtime in. But we are going to talk about the things you can do with your downtime today. I have it split up into 3 separate categories. I've got short, medium, and long, which is super descriptive, I know. But it is the amount of downtime you get really kind of impacts what you can do. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that overlap. And so we'll talk about a little bit about what you can do with each of those different periods of time if you're planning on doing those things. So kicking off with short, I'm defining short amounts of downtime as up to 1 week. Really, it could be up to 2 weeks. It's a little. All of these time frames are flexible. They're sort of subjective things anyway. So it's up to 2 weeks. I wouldn't say more than 2 weeks. I'd say that is really when you start to get towards the medium. This is like when you get to town and you're waiting for somebody else to show up, or you are waiting for it's the time when you are waiting for something else to happen, but you are still kind of on your toes, actively engaged in whatever mission priority 1 is. So to go through just a couple of things that they provide you in the DMG and Xanathar's Guide to Everything, they offer up creating or buying low-level magic items, like commissioning them to have them built, because those magic items tend to take a long time to actually do. So a short period of downtime, you could get some lower level stuff, which is never a bad thing. I mean, so far as like winged boots are an uncommon magic item, and they are so good. Stuff like that, you could probably figure out a way to get in a short amount of downtime. Past magic items, that sort of thing. Relaxation, whatever form that takes for your character. They offer up carousing, which is just sort of like, you know, getting some drinks with people. They offer up pit fighting. They offer up that sort of thing. I throw in spas whenever I think of that, because it's literal relaxation then, and it's always fun to see how players interact with that, because it's not really a traditional sort of thing that you can always get done in an adventuring sort of situation. So it's fun to see how they would relax if they were given effectively unlimited fantasy funds, because at a certain point adventurers are just the richest people in the universe. So that's how it goes. That's also where things like carnivals or festivals or that sort of thing fit in. So if you are coming up on a festival, throw a festival for your players to interact with. It's a lot of fun. Wild Beyond the Witchlight it opens with a carnival, so you can use that as sort of a template for you if you're really unsure. It is a fun break for players from the continuous slog of adventuring and killing stuff and adventuring and killing stuff. It's a good way to just sort of break up what can become monotonous sort of tasks in that way. Another one that they list out is crime. This is obviously not like your long con kind of scenario, but with 2 weeks time, you can plan like a medium-sized robbery or heist or something like that. If that is the vibe that your party is into, that your character is into, there's no shortage in most cities of some kind of criminal underbelly to that city, because of the way that cities are constructed and cities work. So you are oftentimes more than welcome to work with these different syndicates, different crime families, to accomplish a goal. A lot of times, if you don't have a standing relationship with them, they will ask you to do something for them. So you can spend, you know, a couple of weeks doing tasks for them in order to, you know, figure that sort of thing out. And it again provides some good role play opportunities that you wouldn't necessarily normally get. That and the spa, honestly, to me, are a couple of the ones that they don't come up near as often in the core part of the game. And so having that be an option really gives your players some unique roleplay activities and opportunities to explore their character. So I definitely recommend throwing those things in there. A running one through all of it, in addition to crime, is going to be rivals. Some kind of a rival that these characters have for some reason or another. It could be like childhood rivals. It could be a rival adventuring party. It could be somebody that isn't necessarily like a villain, but is for whatever reason trying to thwart the party. Them trying to deal with the rival, them trying to like work around this rival, them sorting things out with this rival in some capacity is a good downtime activity. Like it'll take time to try and either remedy a relationship with this person or to like thwart them in some capacity. Like it is a good activity to throw in there when you don't know what else to do and you don't really feel like going to bars for the 4th day in a row of your week of downtime. It's worth a shot, honestly. From there, we move on up to the medium length of downtime. This one I say takes up to 3 months. That is about where I would like cap that one, because 3 months honestly is starting to push into long anyway, in my opinion. But it could be considered, right? It could be considered still medium amount of downtime. So from there we have creating mid-level magic items. We had low for the short duration downtime. Here we have mid-level magic items. This is honestly where you can start to get into some of the like rare, pushing into maybe very rare items. It's also there are certain spells that you have to cast in the same place for a certain amount of time. Like once a day for X amount of time. Like I know Teleportation Circle is in the same spot for a year, so obviously that is in the long section, not in the medium section, but it's just the only example that comes to the top of my head, so I'm going to say it anyway. You can use here. Enchanting takes time, it takes money, it takes effort, and so putting time into that is going to be helpful. I also have written in here vacation, because honestly, I think it's the only tier that it really fits into. A short amount of downtime, so for a week, you're not really going to take yourself on a vacation, necessarily. You could, but you're not really going to. And you're not going to go on a vacation for a year. That's more like a walkabout, that is a trip, not just a vacation. And so if you've got 2 months of downtime to work with, and you decide that you want to go across the country for a month of that, that's great. That allows you to interact with a bunch of different stuff. It allows you to interact with a bunch of different people. It allows you to expand your knowledge base. It allows you to train, which is the next one on this list, in a different area. It is the perfect place for a vacation to happen. Plus, you can have the entire party go if you want to. In that year gap in Campaign 1 of Critical Role, they go on vacation. I don't think that's really a spoiler, one, because the campaign's been out for a long time, but they go on vacation. I'm not going to say any more than that. They go on vacation, and it is a phenomenal episode to watch because the stakes are low and they get to mess around, and it's part of what makes downtime great, honestly. Like I mentioned, the next one on this list is training. Getting to train during downtime is honestly so good. It lets you build up skills. There's like tables and stuff for gaining levels and whatever, and I think that's a little weird, like specifically gaining levels during your downtime. So I wouldn't go so far as that. But if you wanted to train in your public speaking skill or something, we'll say, I would be inclined to have you roll a couple of times, and if you do well, like if you make your case well to me, I would think about at least giving you like proficiency in persuasion or in performance or something like that, because you have spent the time, your character has committed to trying to do this sort of thing. And so this is a great way to expand your proficiencies. If you are not proficient with a weapon and you really want, like if you are not proficient with martial weapons, but you really want to use that longsword, this is a great place to work with somebody, some kind of a master somewhere, some soldier, something like that, somebody that can teach you how to use the sword and gain proficiency with that. This middle amount of time is really, really good for that. Again, here, crime. This is where you can, honestly, it's two sides of the same coin. Crime or like special ops for like guard or police force or that sort of thing. Because this is enough time to begin to like infiltrate crime families, if that's what you want to do. It's also a good way to begin to work your way up in crime families, if that is what you're looking to do. Otherwise, you can plan a lot more elaborate and extensive heists. Like maybe maybe there's this party happening at the richest estate in the entire city in a month's time. That gives you a month to plan and figure out everything you need to know going into it. And then there is a really cool like heist episode essentially of the campaign that you're in. And you can recruit as many people as you want. And if it's just you and the rest of the party doesn't want to do it, the DM can like make NPCs that they can then control so that everybody's still playing, right? Like hand out little cards. If you're the DM, hand out little cards that are like, okay, you are this person, you are good at lockpicking and talking. You are this person, you are essentially the getaway driver. Like, make sure everybody has a role if you're going to do something like that. But it is a good way to integrate like a more elaborate sort of heist thing. Again, rivals. If you can expand on crime in that way, you can expand on rivals in that way in this same scenario. Like, if you have 2 weeks to work out stuff with your rival, think about what you can do in 2 months. Like, that is a really good foundation for a rivalry there. And I'm going to toss on the end of this one, start a business as well. I have that in long for a reason I'm about to get into, but I think you could just do it at the longest extent of medium amount of time. So moving on to the longer activities, we're going to go with start a business as the first one, even though it's not at the top of the list, because here you have obviously long downtime is anything over 3 months. I didn't think I really needed to say that, but I'm going to toss it out there just in case. The starting a business, you can start a business in whatever you want to, right? It is that kind of thing. You can do whatever it is that you want to do with your business in D&D because it's not real, and you have the ability to be good at whatever you want to do. If you want to start a bakery, you can start a bakery. If you want to start a laundromat where you have enchanted machines to do prestidigitation on a bunch of clothes, you can start a laundromat where you have enchanted machines to do prestidigitation on a bunch of clothes. I have talked about before extensively how you can create movie theaters in Dungeons and Dragons. There are ways to do this stuff. You just have to be creative with the stuff that you're using. And starting a business, it becomes a self-sufficient thing, and it is a good source of steady income that can support itself ultimately, because it's an adventurer's thing. It's fictional. You're going to be successful more than likely. That's just kind of how it goes. And it can provide like pay for some NPCs or something like that the party has come to like a lot, but they're not the adventuring type because, they met them on the street somewhere and they just gave them some good information and now they're buddies. Moving forward from starting a business, we'll go back to the top of the list. Creating high-level magic items. This is where that teleportation circle comes in. This is where you can like definitively craft very rare magic items if you are of level to do that sort of thing. This is where you can do some deep research on stuff to make yourself those items that you really, really want to. This is also a good place to commission high-level magic items if that's more your vibe, right? Like, just because you pay people for it doesn't mean they can shorten the amount of time it's going to take. Like, they probably can a little bit, but ultimately, high-level magic items are going to be a costly thing in both money and time. So you're going to have to pay people to do it and wait for it. And that's just how it goes. This is another good one for training. If it were me, I'd probably let you pick up a couple of proficiencies here. I would even go so far, if you were to actually invest the time, I would let you do some expertise training in a skill that you are already proficient in, should you go find the right person to train with. This is a great one for training with a weapon. This is a great excuse for multi-classing as well. If you go into it with a level up in your back pocket and you want to multi-class and you've got 6 months, I mean, you can come up with any reason to be able to multi-class then. Like, if you're a barbarian and you're like, man, I really want to be an artificer as well, I mean, you can spend some time in the workshop, like figuring out how to tinker with some stuff. There is no problem with that. So training is a really good one for long-term downtime. Again, crime, always more crime. Same with rivals, because again, just take whatever idea you had and expand it out and expand it out. This is the time frame wherein you could build like a crime empire if that is what you want to try and do for whatever reason. And this is where like a rivalry could become like a really heated thing, like a really, really deep seated thing. Adventurers so often are like these demigods off on their own on these pedestals. And if you have a rival that is of a similar level, this is where like fighting pits, and if you're not fighting pit material, businesses, research, that sort of thing, that is where like it really sort of thrives. If you're a brainy type, this is not a rivals thing, it's just one that I thought of off the top of my head. If you're a brainy type in game, you could be like a professor or something somewhere. Like you can teach people. Like you could be a teacher or something like that. Just think about what your character is good at and lean into it. The last one I have on here is one that I think people just sort of do and they don't really think about, but I think it's really important to like think about and like really dig into, because it's a lot of fun ultimately when you actually all get into it. It is build a house or stronghold. The home game that I'm running is in a year of downtime right now. I reminded them that they have a stronghold being built for them, a house being built for them, and that they are the designers of that house, that they should lean into the crazy a little bit and pick whatever they want to put in this house, because I mean, everybody goes and buys houses in Skyrim and stuff when you get the Hearthstone DLC, right? Maybe not. I do. I obsessively do. But like, I build houses when you get the Hearthstone. You can buy houses normally. I obsessively do that. I will spend hours and hours doing that. People love The Sims for a reason, right? Right? Like you can build it to be what you want it to be without the restrictions of like video game logic, right? Like you can put whatever you want in it. And that's awesome. And you should for sure lean into that and try it, because it's just cool, honestly. Those are all of the things that I have written down, just sort of like offhand from the books, off the top of my head, for the 3 different amounts of downtime. But I cannot emphasize enough that downtime is a phenomenal piece of the game that gets overlooked. It helps the world feel alive outside of just the adventure, if that is what you're going for. If you are going for a living, breathing world, throw some downtime at your players. Not everything is always go, 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 go in these times. Or if it is, like if you are running a single adventure, like shot through a campaign and it's only like 4 levels long or something, if you have an epilogue type thing where you let them sort of explore these options, they will more than likely love it, because it's giving them an opportunity to do something that they don't normally get to do. And so that is it's just cool to be able to do, honestly. Plus, it's Dungeons and Dragons. I know that the name would suggest otherwise, but it doesn't always have to be doom and gloom. It can be fun stuff too. Fun stuff for the characters. The players are having fun no matter what, because it's Dungeons and Dragons and it's a good time. But not everything's gonna be doom and gloom. So expand a little bit. Give them a little something extra. Give them a carnival here and there. Give them a 2 months vacation, something like that. Just toss them a little something, see what they do, and you're probably gonna be pretty pleasantly surprised. And if you're a player, look for opportunities to take that downtime, because honestly, you can do some pretty cool stuff with it. Really. And if you're short for ideas, just Google Downtime 5e. What can I do in Downtime 5e? And there is no shortage of stuff that you can do out there on the internet. Something's going to appeal to you. You're going to have a good time with something on that list. But that is all that I have for you guys today. Thank you so very much for making me part of your morning routine. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for subscribing, liking, following, etc. I really do appreciate it. The more of you that do, the longer I will be able to do this show, because the longer I will think that people actually are interested in watching it. And thank you so much to my patrons in particular. You guys are the ones that really help make this all happen. I could not do it without you. So thank you very, very much. Come back tomorrow for another morning rambling of mine, and I will see you guys then. But until next time, keep on rolling.